What's going on, everybody out there on YouTube? You're here with the Crypto Lifer. I had to take a break. I took like a nice 14-day hiatus. Just had to get my mind right. Was on the computer a lot, was trading constantly. Wanted to spend some time with my family, just relax, get out of the pocket of technology for a little while, and just kind of breathe, and think. And I apologize to any of my subscribers or people that were coming to my channel and missing my information and missing my news. But I just needed that time. And I'm back, and probably for days on end. So have no fear, Crypto Lifer is here. And the first thing we want to talk about, of course, is Bitcoin. There's a lot to go over in the world. I'm a heavy gold speculative analysis. I love watching gold. I think gold tells a lot about ourselves. I think it has so much history. It tells us a lot about us as a human race. And it can tell a little bit about where we've been and where we're going. So I think to include gold when you're talking about any asset that has anything to do with finances, whether it be crypto, US dollar, is important. Almost want to start the day off with gold, which, you know what, I think I'm gonna. Even if you guys are Bitcoin fans and you're like, why is he talking about gold? Just stay with my channel for a few weeks and you will learn. You will learn a lot and you'll understand why gold is used and is as important as it is. So check it out. We have gold at 1565. Now, I don't know why, but I was compulsed to buy gold last week. I had always had a gold necklace my whole life. Okay, here it is. And this is actually a nice 60-gram gold necklace, 14 karat gold, Miami Cuban link chain. I had this compulsion to buy gold last week. Like, I always stack my gold. I like to add to my gold stash. But I had this compulsion to buy gold last week. I just had to. I can't explain it. Ended up getting this chain when gold was at $14.78 an ounce. And the chain is 60 grams. And if I should do a video where I explain how to basically calculate the weight amount of your gold chain. But pretty simple. You can do it in a few different ways, but you find out the carats. So I have 14 carats. You divide that by 24 carats because that's the most carats you can have in a gold chain. And you're left with 5833 repeating, which means that a 14 karat gold chain is only 58% gold. So then you times that, then you weigh the chain, okay? And if the chain is basically, there's a few ways to do this, but here's my way. Now you weigh the chain. This chain was 61 grams. You time this by 61 grams. You end up getting 35.583. You times that by the local price of gold, or the actual price at the time, 1565. Of course, that wasn't something went wrong here. All right, hold on. We have 0.5883333 times 61 grams, right? That means we have 35.58 grams of gold. We divide that by 28, okay? And then we times, because there's 28 grams in an ounce, and then we times that by 1565, and we equal 1988. So this chain has got $2,000 worth of gold in it. And then there's the craftsmanship alone that goes into that too. So you're going to pay around, $2,500, $2,800 for a chain like this, 60 gram, 14 karat gold chain. And, I think it's important to carry some gold. You could break these into little pieces at one point, give people links. Maybe you could trade yourself out of a hot situation. And if gold keeps going up, a chain like this is going to be worth way more within 2 to 3 years. We can go back and look at the gold price right now here. And if we change this to the last 5 years, so we were looking at gold in 2016, under $1,100 an ounce. Let's go to the big gold chart. I'll show you what's going on. Go to Lifer 2, hit gold up. See how long this runs by the month. So this starts in 1998. You're looking at $250 gold. But let's get into here. So we had the '08 crisis, and that sparked gold a lot in the next 2 years. So think, we're about to have another crisis. What do you think is going to happen to gold now? We can even chart gold here on this monthly, and it's in a bit of a bull flag, which it's breaking out of. It's possibly may retest this, but look at that, right? Potential of gold. If we just TAing gold and we're just looking at where it's gonna go, I mean, we can see gold here at 2160 an ounce. So I don't know, man. It was weird that I was compulsed to buy gold. Maybe I'm somewhat psychic. I had this feeling, but I always know I'm always watching gold. So whether it's today or tomorrow, or the next day, there's a little slight falling wedge there that we broke out of too. We're above all the moving averages. The 21-day moving average is crossing over the 50, which is very bullish. Once these all cross over the right way, we're going to be back on a nice plane like this. And things could be looking really good for gold. Look at it here. When we made this cross here on the monthly, things got exponentially good. Then we had our little rundown. We came up again, but it was slight down. And now we still seem to be holding this MACD positive momentum. We are high on the RSI, which worries me. Here we got really high. We had to come back down. We've only been above the white line 1, 2, 3, 4 times, basically in the last 15 years. I guess you could count these too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So gold is being bought a lot. It may have to cool down at one point. I think though we can easily look from here. Look, if we look at the RSI was here, we're sitting at 600, and this went all the way to 1,000. That's a $400 move right there. And you could also talk about maybe it's a percentage move, 50% move, right? 46% move. So we could see ourselves go up another $700 in gold to $2,200 an ounce. And yeah, I just think buying some gold can't hurt. You'll feel good. Trust me. You buy a little gold, it'll do something for you. But talking about gold is important today. Seeing that it went up $100 in basically the last 2 weeks. So looking at Bitcoin at 7577 on international average price, up today 0.91%. Ethereum, we have XRP with one of the big winners of the day. That got added to, I believe, the futures trading on Binance. Once they added that to the futures trading on Binance, ba-boom, 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 it exploded. And yeah, you saw the move into there. A lot of people probably started trading it, started buying to trade it. When it maybe bought it, then moved it so they could get ready to create a position. With all that buying, it changed a lot. Now Dash was some big news. Let's see if I can find some news on Dash. I was reading something yesterday that they were changing something. I usually prepare this earlier, but I didn't want to talk about Dash. I wasn't sure, and now I'm like, hit the Twitter feed right now and see what's going on. I mean, the war too. We're gonna discuss the war and potential war. You know, for those Bitcoin bugs excited about Bitcoin's 4% rally in 2020, think about this: gold is also up by about the same percentage this year, only with significantly less downside risk. If this is the best rally Bitcoin can muster, how will it ever hit 50K, let alone 1 million? Oh, it will. It will, Peter. When people flock into it, you know, and they realize that there's no other assets to be in. Here's Jacob Canfield, a trader that's helped mentor me, and I've watched a lot of videos by him, watched his course. He says, first time I added fiat back in since 3,500, expecting to hold this for a while. Gemini wire transfers are great for same-day transfers if you need to get money in quickly. Entered Bitcoin at 6,900 to make sure I got filled. Longing 6,800 in January will be a good deal. I was hoping for 5,500, but not sure we'll get there. Not sure we see much lower for a while after that. We'll revise if the context of the market changes. I also may make a very large Bitcoin purchase today, something I'm thinking about. Just, you know, this guy's on point, man. You know, he went in, first time adding fiat back since 3,500. Expecting to hold this for a while. Yeah, so he bought 14 Bitcoin, dude. He just showed you, man. He put 100 grand in there. This guy put his money where his mouth is. 14 Bitcoin at 6,900. Filled. Bang. Done. Boom. Kabam. Reminds me I have to move some funds too. But that's something to talk about. Are you going to long Bitcoin right now? I mean, my man is longing it. I don't know if he has a stop loss on that. I'll try to ask him, find out what's going on. Harvey Weinstein trial starts today. It's big news. See what's going on. We got Peter Schiff in there. We got some John McAfee. This threw a lot of people off. Eat my dick in 12 months. A ruse to onboard new users. It worked. Bitcoin was first. It's ancient technology. All know it. Newer blockchains have privacy, smart contracts, distributed apps, and more. Bitcoin is our future. Was the Model T the future of the automobile? It kind of makes people wonder, like, because he was so into Bitcoin, he got so many people hyped up, and now they're like, "Where does John? Wake the f up! What idiots think anyone is going to eat their own ever, especially in TV? Are you an idiot? God, I hope none of my followers are that stupid." I mean, we all knew he wasn't going to eat it, but we thought maybe they'd make a cake or he'd do something stupid, right? However, now a Model T is a collector's car. There are more valuable ones sold at auction for over $100,000. It's not a daily driver or practical for today, but it sure went up in value. It's funny, he's trying to make a case against that, what he's saying. Pretty interesting. I own 3. They are pieces of SHIT. A 1937 Auburn Speedster goes for over $10 million. He owned 3 Model Ts, man. McAfee doesn't understand Bitcoin. Laugh my ass. It seems you don't understand Bitcoin, my friend. Purchase Bitcoin from me at a rate of 1 million per Bitcoin, and we can call it even. Okay, I'll buy a millionth of a Bitcoin for $1. That will do it. Any favorites in terms of... This is funny, man. Monero for privacy, Ethereum for smart contracts. I agree, man. I like Monero. I'm a big supporter of Monero. I do have a little bit of Monero. Don't want to really... It's kind of sad. You don't want to disclose how much Monero you have, because it's like that's the point of Monero. So it's hard to kind of promote Monero when you don't want anyone to know you have Monero. It's like, yes, let me show you my Monero wallet. Boom. Yeah, and his DEX is coming out too. Look out for that. That's going to be awesome. But yeah. So what do I think is going to happen with Bitcoin? I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I always have. Always have been. Crypto Lifer 1, we're going to see. Look at XRP, though, doing a nice 12% gain. Let's check it out on the 4-hour. Wow, it like absolutely shot up. Look at that. Was there any indication of that? I mean, we had a long... Look at this consolidation here. But we were almost in a rising wedge or a bottom flag kind of here. This was just kind of doing its thing. We expected the range to probably come back down to 18, bounce up and down. I actually said, if you watch my live streams, I called 18 cents. I called it. I said to everybody, this is a double head and shoulders here. It was this head and shoulders here. I said it would stop here and keep going down. And I drew a line around here, around 18 cents. You can look up my past live streams. If you follow my live streams, you'll see that I definitely called the 18 cents. Called it to the T. Yeah. Not saying I'm amazing. I'm just saying that was one call that I nailed. Despite what my heart said, despite what I wanted, I hold a huge bag of XRP. I hope it's going to go away. Also, the rounded tops, right? It looks like an inverted cup and handle, right? So we're lucky that we just got this saving grace here by the news. All right. Wow, this is some weird news that just came in 10 minutes ago. I don't like saying the word BOMB on my channel, but thousands of bomb threats reported in Russia after oligarch linked to $450 million Bitcoin hack. Thousands of bomb threats against public facilities have been reported in Russia after a news report linked a 217 exchange hack of $450 million in Bitcoin to prominent Russian businessman Konstantin Malofeev. Multiple evacuations have taken place after bomb threats targeted various Russian public facilities across the country. Threats have been linked to the shady 2017 exchange hack of WEX, which saw the disappearance of some $450 million in Bitcoin. All evidence currently points to the hack being an inside job at the highest level of Russian governance. Bitcoin crime linked to the highest level of Russian state power. Wow, that could cause a lot of issues, freaking the people out. Why an investment firm believes Bitcoin will rally 430% in 2020. While it posted a 90% gain over the year, Bitcoin didn't fare too well in the second half of 2019, retracing by 50% from 14,000 to a low of 6,400, as a majority of mainstream asset classes posted astronomical gains on the back of central bank liquidity injection into the market. Despite this, an array of prominent investors believe cryptocurrency will begin to push higher in 2020. In fact, one investment firm run by individuals that used to work at Goldman Sachs, among other firms, have suggested that Bitcoin will top 40,000, 430% above the current price of 7,500, sometime in the coming 12 months. Here's why they think so. Bitcoin hit 40,000 in 2020. In less than 6 months, Bitcoin will see an extremely important event known as the halving, or halvening. Depending on who you ask, the number of Bitcoin issued per block every 10 minutes or so will get cut in half from 12.5 to 6.25, effectively meaning that Bitcoin's inflation rate will be cut in half. Now, this is huge because what it does is it affects the miners, their ability to obtain Bitcoin per day. They're immediately going to feel the squeeze, and they're going to have to buy more ASIC miners and mine more, and the difficulty rate will go higher. It actually will make it harder to earn Bitcoin, and you'll get less. But what happens is the Bitcoin miners have made so much in the past that it'll account for the capitulation during that period. I think that's why we saw such a bottoming out in that like October, November period. I think we were watching the capitulation of the miners, just selling some Bitcoin to even up their profits as they came into 2020. So yeah. The fact that they predicted on January 5th that the wake of the halving, Bitcoin price will likely hit 40,000. This comes shortly after the chief executive of Nexo, Anthony Trenchnev, told Bloomberg that he also expects Bitcoin to enter that range sometime in 2020. Now, see, what worries me is, will Monero then go back to $500? I think they will. I think a lot of these big coins, I think the top 10 will just run with it and go forward, even though the top 10 is changing. Let's see the top 10 now, because it's not like it used to be. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum still holding 2, XRP in the 3rd spot, Bitcoin Cash at number 4. Tether moved its way into number 5. Tether up 1 1 cent. It's kind of weird when Tether goes up a cent. You're like, wow, because if you have $1 million worth of Tether and it goes up a cent, I mean, you made a little percentage there. Litecoin up 40. It's at $44, struggling, but up 5% today. EOS still in holding. Binance Coin, Bitcoin SV number 9, and Monero in the number 10 spot. And then we get Stellar, Tron, Cardano back out at 13. Cardano used to be number 5, 6 up in the spot. Cosmos at 16. That's a new coin making headwaves. Neo kind of creeping back into the 10. Ethereum Classic at 20. Dash. What coins do I own of these coins? I'll let you know. I was speculating heavy on VeChain. It had nice pumps, went really well a couple months back. It now has cooled down and kind of consolidated back into the 5 cent range. I think it's worth picking up a little bit. I think it's worth picking up some basic attention token. I don't have either of these at the moment. I do get my BAT while I'm on the Brave browser. Remember, please go to my description below and follow the Brave browser. It would really help. Yeah. Tezos, Cardano, Tron, Stellar, I own. Monero, I own. I don't have any SV. Something makes me feel like I should get it. Back in the day, anything with Bitcoin on it, you should grab. Because what happens is these newbies come in and they just buy the cheapest thing that says Bitcoin. Well, it's no, I can't afford 7,500, but I'll get 7 of these for 700 or 800 bucks at Bitcoin SV. And if Bitcoin goes up, maybe the SV will go up and I'll ride that wave. And actually, that really did work in the last cycle, so that could work again in this cycle. So just be prepared for something like that to happen. And Chainlink, I believe having some Chainlink is worth it because it's an interoperable chain that connects every other blockchain to it, helps real world applications connect to blockchain. So any other coin could really help by being involved with Chainlink. Bexit 500 now is how to double your Bitcoin based on the Fear and Greed Index. Fear and Greed Index. If you don't know where that is, you can go to, what is it, alternative.me? Alternative.me. And you can check that out. And just type in fear. I'm the best speller ever. Fear and Greed. And there's the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. We were actually way further down earlier when we were down into that 6,000 range. The fear was down at 21. That's really when you want to be buying a lot of Bitcoin in this area here. This is just keep buying Bitcoin in this area, and it really will help you. It's kind of like buying real estate when it's undervalued. That way, if there is a crash coming, hopefully you don't get hit too hard. You're kind of somewhere in the middle. And that's what you do when it comes to Bitcoin. And super awesome to see this. I'm happy they made this, and I really do use it. I watch it a lot. Let's go back to the article, what they're saying here. But I just wanted you guys to know, go to alternative.me, check out the Fear and Greed Index if you don't know where to find that. If you've been in crypto market for a while, you may come across Fear and Greed Index. Compared to a technical and fundamental analysis, many traders think last or even forget the sentimental analysis. However, in the cryptocurrency market, you are easy to notice how emotional it is. Fear and Greed Index, as an important indicator in the sentimental analysis, can be used as a guide for making profitable investments. In the following parts, we will introduce you to FGI and how to implement it in your trading strategy. What is the FGI? The Fear and Greed Index measures the investor's sentiment on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, and scores investors' emotions on a scale of 0 to 100. A value of 0 means extreme fear, while a value of 100 represents extreme greed. Investors tend to get greedy when the market performs upward trend, which results in FOMO, fear of missing out. On the contrary, when seeing red on the graphs, investors panic and become sellers. To conclude, there are two simple assumptions. Extreme fear can be a sign of buying opportunity at a comparatively low price. Too greedy signals that the market is due for a correction to limit overvaluation. How F&D index affects Bitcoin price trend. Having known about FDI, let's see how it affects Bitcoin's price trend. Here we will take Crypto Fear and Greed Index, the FDI, over the past 3 months as an example. Based on the historic data, it's not difficult to notice that the sudden nosedive Bitcoin price declined sharply turned the market sentiment into extreme fear. And every time that FGI goes into extreme fear or remains for 1 or 2 days, Bitcoin tends to recover or surge immediately after. For instance, October 24th, the index scores 20, indicating extreme fear. But the next day, Bitcoin skyrocketed to 10,500 with the rising rate of around 40%. Earn Bitcoin with Bitcoin futures trading in BEX 500. Fear and Greed Index can be served as a tool for making sound investments. So they're just pushing BEX 500 right here. It's one of the top crypto leverage trading exchanges. I don't really want to push leverage trading. A lot of people lose a lot of money. No KYC. It's kind of nice. 4 trading modes for newbies. Crypto perpetual contract, forex commodity, double contract with up to 200 times leverage. Jesus. High liquidity by utilizing end-to-end optimized stack. I still would use Bybit if you were going to trade futures. I have yet to do that, but if you were going to, I would do it on Bybit and Bybit only. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. But yeah, check out the Fear and Greed Index. Turkey to regulate cryptocurrencies before launch of its digital lira. See, it's funny. Another country has joined the League of Nations actively regulating cryptocurrencies. The Capital Markets Board, Turkey's regulatory board, has announced its plan to establish a regulatory framework for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies by the end of 2020. Reported a Turkish newspaper, Hürriyet, even though the regulatory body has refrained from divulging any further information to the public, it was noted that the body will focus on the surveillance, regulation, and audit of Bitcoin. The decision to regulate these digital assets follows ING Bank's research report, which suggests that 45% of all Turks are considering crypto money in the future. That's what we have to remember, like the fear of America and like your sentiment in America, and you think that's the sentiment of cryptocurrency, and you forget that it's a worldly asset and that you're not at the qualms of the U.S. government always. There's other things that can take place and actually form and shape this environment we're in. And anything around the world could actually throw us further and deeper into blockchain. Baidu launches its own cryptocurrency, X Superchain. Baidu has officially launched its own cryptocurrency called Superchain. Superchain will operate, I guess that's how you have to say that, right, on masternodes distributed throughout the country and is in full compliance with the Chinese government. Chinese internet tech giant Baidu has officially launched its own cryptocurrency called Superchain. This is amazing, man. Now, does Baidu have a stock? I believe it does. I'd like to see the stock price of Baidu today and see what. Only up a little bit, huh? 0.6%. You'd think it would have more of a jump. Last day, though, it's up a little more in the last 5 days. Wow, it did have a substantial move, though. 128 to 134, up $6. It's doing well, actually, if we look at it. 114 6 months ago and a year ago. Oh, it came down hard, though. It was already around these levels. It was up at 184. So it's a struggling, but it's doing all right if you've had it for basically over 5 to 10 years. Okay. Don't click any of these garb. Man who predicted as these are all Motley Crue freaking clickbait. Piss me off, man. Bitcoin options market shows halving is not priced in. Yeah, even my favorite trader, like my mentor, Jacob Canfield, he was like pushing hard for the idea that the halving wasn't priced in yet, or was priced in already. He was on a discussion with Crown, and they had a great back and forth live going in on crypto. But what I found was I didn't agree with that. I don't agree with the fact that the halving is priced in already. I just don't. Maybe it's my own bullish sentiment and my own need for my own holdings, but at the same time, it's the fact that I don't believe that that's the case. You know, yeah. London-based cryptocurrency research company Skew has attempted to answer the big question about the forthcoming Bitcoin halving. According to the company's research, not all values of future volatility has been priced in, contrary to what numerous critics say. Using forward variance, one can even calculate fairly precisely the implied move on the day of the event. Based on a number of assumptions, this means traders can trade the event's implied move by using options calendar spreads. The Bitcoin options market tells us an interesting story. There is no kink in the implied volatility term structure for the relevant expiry, June 20th. This means the option market does not anticipate any increased volatility around that time. I'm confused as to what that's saying, you know. How option traders predict the future. In a series of tweets, Skew explained how to determine whether a certain event is priced in or not by taking a look at the asset's implied volatility, which resembles a kinked curve. Implied volatility is a term inherent to options that reflects the market's expectations about a certain asset. In layman's terms, it shows how the turbulent market will be in the future. IV is also a handy tool for calculating specific price targets for traders, but of course these predictions will not necessarily turn out to be correct. Option traders can simultaneously go short and long on Bitcoin at the same strike price with different expiry dates, which is known as the calendar spread strategy. In such a way, traders can turn a profit from time decay, the tendency of option prices to decline with time. Skew points to the fact that there is no kink in the implied volatility during Q2, which means that the Bitcoin options market doesn't anticipate any significant moves after the halving event. However, traders do expect some volatile moves in March, right on the verge of the halving. Hence, there is a chance there could be another buy the rumor, sell the news that will resemble Litecoin's impressive price rally in Q2 19 that completely evaporated after the actual halving. Only the most important post per day. I mean, I got wrapped up in that. I'll be honest, I bought Litecoin thinking that I was not going to miss the halving, and I got trashed on it. It hurt. I'm still holding 50 Litecoin, which I won't give up. I'm pretty sure I'll be fine, but at the same time, it's not fun and it hurts. So, with that being said, it's interesting to talk about what's going to happen with the halving. Put your comments, what you guys think, what will happen in the halving. Will Bitcoin stop? Will it keep moving? We don't know. Only time will tell, you know. Interview with BitFenix and Teller CTO Paulo Ardoino on the new innovative products, new Bitcoin all-time high, and DEXs. In crypto world, 2019 has been a year full of big expectations, large announcements, heartbreaking disappointments, and new discoveries. We've been holding our breath, haven't we all? Haven't we? Waiting for the regulators to make their first steps towards embracing cryptocurrency. We've been following all the crazy price predictions, expecting a new Bitcoin price all-time high, or at least a sign of a new outstanding technology. Paulo, I've been a developer my entire life. I started coding at the age of 8 when I got my first computer. I was extremely passionate about it. I consider myself a cyberpunk, someone that really has a deep philosophy for the internet and a vision of how its protocols could be designed for the resilience and peer freedom. I worked really hard to apply that vision with companies I work with, BitFenix and Tether. I think that my knowledge in distributed computing and networks are well suited for running a business like BitFenix. Also, my experience in computer and network security is a really good fit for both BitFenix and Teller. Recently, the crypto store Referral teamed up with BitFenix to allow its clients to shop with Bitcoin over the Lightning Network. What benefits does this give your users? It's one of the most exciting things that has happened recently. I've been a supporter of the Lightning Network since the beginning. Referral's integration with BitFenix is a great way to demonstrate the power of the Lightning Network. So I started discussing with the Referral team. We were all excited about the Lightning Network and jumped in by giving our support for using this technology in a legally compliant way. Referral was the perfect partner when it came to testing and experimenting phase. They have a beautiful use case, which is gift cards. One of the most interesting things is you need to deal with when it comes to this kind of cooperation or partnership is finding a way to send money from one company to another. Let's say BitFenix user buys a gift card from Referral. How should we settle the funds between BitFenix and Referral? We agreed on using a dedicated Lightning Network channel of 1 Bitcoin size between the two companies so that we could operate smoothly and reduce the risk for ourselves and for other users. While the Lightning Network is such a new technology, we did not have any problems so far, and a lot of people are already using it on a daily basis, so I'm really happy to see the results. We need to talk more about the Lightning Network. I think a lot of people are thinking that Bitcoin is super slow and it's never going to be fast, and I think there's going to be a time when Bitcoin is fast, and I think there's no reason why we won't work and make Bitcoin better. There's other things in this article that you can get into and read about, and it actually goes really in depth. But I just want to talk about those, changes and the fact that the Lightning Network is being used behind the scenes, and that it's important to remember. Quadar, which has a lot of money, and I don't like seeing something like this, reportedly bans cryptocurrency trading and custody services. A country in the Middle East with a population of 2.5 million has reportedly banned cryptocurrency trading and custody services. The Quadar Financial Service Regulator, the Quadar Center, has, according to a report published by International Investment, issued a statement making it clear that virtual asset services may not be conducted in or from the QFC at this time. The bank reportedly includes fiat to current crypto and crypto to crypto trading, as well as other financial services related to cryptocurrency, such as custody. The regulator went as far as saying the ban hit anything of value that acts as substitute for cryptocurrency that can be digitally traded or transferred and can be used for payment or investment services. The Muslim world should be designing measures to save themselves from the domination of the United States dollar and the American financial regime. A Crypto Globe reported that President of Iran, Hassan Rouhani, has, during an Islamic conference in Malaysia, proposed the creation of a cryptocurrency for Muslim nations as an alternative to the US dollar. And is that going to see a movement towards uniting Muslims? And then where does that turn? Because some people are Muslim in the country, but they're not supporters of Iran. It's really getting to the times where we're all being twisted as to who we are as people. Are you Muslim, but are you against the U.S. dollar and the domination? Or are you with this? Or are you with that? Are you a Jets fan? And are you Irish? And are you American? Are you from New York? Are you for Trump? Are you for Hillary? Are you for... It's and then next thing you know, we can't even talk about baseball anymore. It's getting sad here in America, guys. Nakamoto magazine closes Telegram over chaotic chat. I thought this was hilarious. The Nakamoto initiative. Disheartened by the lack of discussion about the philosophical principles that motivated Satoshi Nakamoto or the society he wanted to build, a group of high-level intellectuals launched the Nakamoto website on January 3rd. Designed as a place to provide trustworthy information and stimulate dialogue about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, in 3 short days, it only served to highlight the chasms of division in the space. Bearing the Bitcoin symbol in its logo, the Nakamoto ethos seems like a noble one. On the 11th anniversary of Bitcoin's Genesis block, we're pleased to announce Nakamoto.com, a new general interest journal for the crypto community. Our inaugural issue has contributions from Vitalik Buran, cool. Our goal is to create a venue for technical, philosophical, and cultural writing that is of interest to the community as a whole for the beginner and expert alike. We want to discuss what is important, even if not new, and avoid what is new, yet unimportant. So they shut the Telegram down in 3 days. They opened up a Telegram channel as well, which attracted 2,000 members. It was swiftly shut down due to trolls and spam bots. Laugh my ass off. This was fast. Nakamoto Telegram is hereby shut down due to the trolls and spam bots. It had a lot of interest though, and it gained a lot of notoriety, enough for it to actually be shut down at that point. Take the positive out of that. All right. Bitcoin is bad for the environment, or is it? The massive energy costs that miners are burdened with Bitcoin have been worrying many in the crypto community. The main headlines of a lot of people use is something like Bitcoin mining is killing the planet. But there are many misconceptions of Bitcoin out there. According to a report from the digital asset management firm Arca, there are many misconceptions of Bitcoin out there, titled Bitcoin Study Energy Consumption. Blah, blah, blah. It's a long title. We don't have to read the whole thing. We know it was a study about Bitcoin. Is there a problem with Bitcoin because it needs electricity? The same argument can be made for refrigeration, which is completely reliant on electricity to keep products cool. Does that mean that refrigeration has a systematic problem? Also, if you saw that 75% of all Bitcoin mining is environmentally sustainable, you're using hydro, solar, or some other wind and environmentally sustainable force of energy. As for using Bitcoin for nefarious activities, and then other people say that it's not regulated, but that 46% of all Bitcoin transactions were used for illegal activities, which fell in line with the percentages in the US and European black markets. So above 46% or 50% of all US dollars are used for bad purposes. When you take into account the vast imbalance between total Bitcoin market and that of the US dollar, it becomes evident that Bitcoin is dwarfed by traditional currencies in funding illegal activities. Yeah, like its market cap is nothing compared to the US dollar's market cap. So how on earth? There's just not the liquidity there for the bad people to use it. It's just not there. It's not there. Wall Street rattled by Middle East tensions. Let's go back to our chart and see what's going on with the markets. Looks like we're really pushing high with XRP. It looks like this is really going up. We did hit 22.08 cents. Look at it in the 15-minute. I like to see how it's crawling. I mean, to me, that was a flag, and then it broke out of that flag. So we had this going. We had this going here. Boom, we popped out. Now we're flagging again. Could see some more upward potential with XRP. That 18 cents, man, that was the time to grab it. That was a nice buy right here. See this RSI, man. So basically, if you really want to buy something, you put it on the daily. Okay? You look at the RSI. Okay? You look at this line I have here. I have it at 30 and at 70. I used to have it at 80 and 20. I changed it to a mentor of mine who changed it. But look, we're below 1. Peak below 2, 3, 4, 5 times we've been below. And you can say in how many days. This is how I mean, this is trading made simple, guys. You can just think about it. August of 2018. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay? And not guaranteed. But my thing is this: if you're a long-term investor of XRP and you're learning when do I buy, like when do I add to my stash, just keep adding when your RSI is low. You know, and I'm not saying that's foolproof. You may add and it keep going down. But for the most part, if you look back on a 2 to 3 year period, you would have made some substantial buys at the lower ends of the target. So, and where is Bitcoin right now? Do the symbol by that. Alphabetical orders. Bitcoin at 75.24. Just hit. It did hit 7,600. Let's see it on the 15-minute when it did that. Okay, so it hit 7,600 earlier today. That's a good sign. Look, 15 minutes. So look, 1, 2, 3. That's an hour. 1, 2, 3. That's an hour. 1, 2, 3. So about 3 hours and 15 minutes ago, we had this amazing candle. Looks like they were wicking out people. You know, trying to get some stops out. Boom, they went up and down. And now we're sitting in this range. Now we're in like a giant flag on the 15-minute. Which is very interesting to see. I'm going to omit that one wick there because to me that's just like a wick hunting. You know, you guys know what I'm saying. And I tend to always draw on candles. I just stay consistent. Kind of always doing it on the candle. That should come up a little bit. It's almost a rising wedge. Still a slight downtrend though. So we should stay in this pattern and then pop. I mean, like that's what you think should happen. We're also falling down on the RSI here, which is nice. As we're rising up, that's actually hidden bullish divergence here. We can come to this low. I guess some people would say you need this low, but I like this low to this low. And I take this low to this low. And that suggests that this trend will continue. Yeah, it may be a good time to get down into some Bitcoin. Maybe get buy right now at 7,000, put a stop loss at 6,000, be willing to take a bit of a hit, get in for the long term. Quite interesting. I recently just made a pretty substantial buy of Bitcoin too, adding to my stash. Not huge, but about $800-900, and then added to my $200 monthly buy, so about $1,000. I just purchased a Bitcoin in the last 2 weeks as well. So that's just, I'm just telling you, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Okay, what do I like? Well, I had a nice trade with Adam. Let's delete. Let's see what's going on with Adam right now. Okay, Adam. It's in an uptrend. So, right, the trend's your friend until it's not. So that's pretty cool. First thing I do is we just break it down. Support and resistance lines. Support and resistance lines. Looks like we have a double bottom forming too. Helps you see patterns when you do this as well. And then you can just kind of base it. And look, like I'll prove it to you guys that this is like kind of a nice, helpful hint. These are my white lines that I created for Bitcoin. I created these probably a month ago now, sometime around like Thanksgiving. And if you look at my lines, like, you know, like I'm not making these as they happen. I make them, and then look, we kind of broke out of this line. We stayed in this. We hit it. We came down. We're kind of in this range now. Look, we went right off this line here of my line of support that I got from over here earlier and some wicks. So we kind of came here. We broke through it a little bit. It wasn't exact. I mean, they're not always perfect, but what I'm saying is I'm getting range bound, and I'm pretty tight with my ranges. For instance, we tend to be bouncing off this line of 72.38. Look, there's a wick. These wicks didn't make it. There's a wick that got really close. So there's a nice level of support there. You could say we were flagging right there. However it was. It was kind of a crazy flag with the wicks. That was some chop action. We broke out of that, and we had a weird little up and down movement. And but yeah, now I think we have strong support. I think we can really say we have support at 7,200 now. Considering we keep testing it, but coming right back into it, and then it stays as support, breaks through, it stays as support. I don't know. We got the higher low. We got a slightly higher high from this one here. So we're beginning the beginnings of a new trend. Right here, you can see an uptrend. And yeah. Let's see what kind of pattern we have, if we have one at all. I mean, it's kind of a rising wedge, right? At the moment. But yeah, also has way more room to grow here. Look at this. It had this flat and an up, flat and an up. It's looking strange though. That RSI movement is really weird for me. Don't see that a lot. Yeah, I'm just speculating on what to do. I did sell a wheat stock that I had a lot of money in, and I'm not bullish on equities right now. I got a weird feeling. Maybe it's not good to listen to these strange feelings, but yeah, I sold this around 26.10. It went down to 18, would have been a nice buy, went back up to 28. I didn't trade it though. I wasn't swing or day trading it like that. So with that being said, you know, missed opportunities are all abound. The idea is to be in the game and to know what's going on, right? So watching gold again, very bullish. It could come back down to this 21-day moving average and bounce, but look, it's holding support right there. So this is definitely interesting to look at. Kind of a double top here though on the RSI, but I mean, it's not a perfect one and it may not play out, but just something to look at. Is that possible? You know, Iran vows retaliation, safe haven assets move higher. You know, it's just what's going to happen in these times when people talk about war and all these things. You're going to see this. Yeah. But yeah, we went over a lot of news. Really big news is I will be interviewing John McAfee. He's someone I really am intrigued by. I've always liked his commentary. I like what he says. I like what he says to the youth. I even like these.
Really happy to be able to talk to fellow adult males without the presence of women and children. Thank God, first time in decades. Now, what I'd like to talk about today is butts. Why? Well, they're very important to some of us, man. I mean, we're not all breast men, and we're not all leg men. Some of us are butt men. I mean, I became a butt man at the age of 7 when my babysitter bent over in front of me to pick up a pair of shoes. I had a fucking epiphany. Yes, I've been a butt man ever since, and it makes sense. I mean, it's right there. A half a centimeter from that golden triangle of our desire. You know, suddenly, if you can't see it, smell it, or somehow or other notice it, then get a pair of glasses because it's there. Now, what's nice about that beautiful little butt? It's softer, smoother,
This is ridiculous.
warmer by 0.7 degrees Fahrenheit, and tighter than any vagina on the face of the earth, and far, far more important, it's deeper. Now, you try to get a fist.
Oh my God, I didn't know this.
Vagina on this.
I didn't know this was going there. So I'm sorry about that. So a lot of people think he's out of his mind. You have to take him with a grain of salt, right?
Ain't gonna take it. Oh.
We are applying blockchain to political process by tokenizing political leaders. We'll show scientifically how power grows, accumulates, and flows through politics. We'll link news, decisions, and actions to perceptions in the minds of American voters. Yeah, see, we're going to start to being able to conceptualize someone's actions. We're going to be able to actually blockchain a human being and show you who they really are by what they do. And I think as the future moves on, we'll have less people being able to act a certain way and be a different way. You know, like they won't be able to act as someone that they're really not. So yeah. But he's serious. He does as much of the jokes that he talks about. Like here he is. He's like, 2020 and time to get serious. Our country is in a world of hurt. My true platform. And he says a lot, and he's a good voice. He's a good outside voice. Like he talks about how the CIA and the DIA and all the alphabet companies in our government, they really run the government because the president comes in every 4 to 8 years. It would be against our national security for someone who comes in through a revolving door every 4 to 8 years to know every secret about America. Wouldn't be a good idea. Logically, he's not talking lies here. He's just telling you logics. He points things out that I think a lot of us aren't thinking of. If you're interested in these things, follow me at CryptoLifer33. I have 1,533 followers today. The 33 on the 33. Pretty interesting. But yeah, check me out. Got a lot of other news to cover and a lot of things to talk about today. One last thing I want to discuss, or actually throughout my channel, not just today. I feel like we went over a lot today. I meant to say like throughout my channel, throughout the week. But yeah, I think it could be time. Let's go back. Follow Jacob at Jacob Canefield. This guy's awesome, man. He's really been there. Helped me out. First time I added fiat back since 3,500. Expecting to hold this for a while. Gemini wire transfers are great for same-day transfers if you need to get money in quickly. Entered Bitcoin at 6,900 to make sure I got filled. Lucky man, smart man. 13 hours ago? Damn, Bitcoin was 1,300? No. Wait, when did he I'm trying to think when he posted this. Said he posted this 13 hours ago. I didn't think Bitcoin went that low 13 hours ago. He's not a liar, though. I mean, I believe this dude, but this is a 4-hour chart. 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, right? So, I mean, he must have posted this after he made the buy. So he got in here on this wick. I mean, he's bold, man. So he's already up nicely, dude. Nicely on his $100,000. He got it at 69. So he sold higher. I think he's a day trader, but this is his long position. He didn't actually make that clear. I look to see where walls are, where orders are filling or not, and to what size. Who is spoofing and what are the orders being filled? What is open interest and what side at offsides? Is funding positive or negative? Bitcoin or USDT moving? In the last year, I've become less of a technical analyst and more of a whale watcher. Combining both has given me much more of a refined edge. It gives me context to my technical analysis that determine whether the supply-demand exists and who is driving the markets. No, he's right. We all do that now, and I'm seeing it happen more and more in all my channels and all my groups. You know. Iran already has an interesting history with Bitcoin. Many of the mosques subsidized free electricity to mine Bitcoin. Iran banned them and has compensated thousands of miners. The question of the day is, will they use The question of the day is, I think that's a typo, will they turn to mining and Bitcoin to circumvent sanctions? Yeah, Iran ends all its commitments to the 2015 nuclear deal, you know? You really thought this guy would cut it off. You know he had to mention McAfee. If you really thought official McAfee was going to eat his dick, I want to introduce you to this new project called Hex. Yeah. Shouldn't even have put that out, even as a joke, man. Fuck Hex, dude. You know, but I respect the joke, Jacob. He's always fucking around, man. I had one of my best years financially last year. Instead of increasing my expenses, I cut them in half. Traded an expensive lease for a least expensive one. Cut out almost all of my reoccurring subscriptions. Dropped my Uber Eats and eating out by 75%. Double win. I like it. I've never done Uber Eats. You know, I make homemade pizza from home. I am a man, a woman, a Bitcoin trader seeking a bull market. Yeah. I want to get a job so I can have a shot at being an undercover boss and blow that cover with my detective skills. Taking some dream, I would love to hear you guys have more best Bitcoin stream trading. Oh, so he retweeted this. Longing 67 to 6,800 January would be a good deal. I was hoping for 5,500. I'm not sure we'll get there. We'll revise if the content market changes, but that's what I'm seeing so far. In January, we were long 43, 5,500. We'll be in 2019. That's what he says in 1 week, replying. Just long now, you might regret it if it does not go down to 1,600 anymore. Now is the time to be greedy and time to get in the perfect entry. This is a fantastic buying place long term. I'm thinking of making a big move, but I'm just thinking about it. I'm not going to do it yet, but if I do it, I'll let you guys know. I'll put my money where my mouth is. But follow me at CryptoLifer33. My last little poll was, what are you more likely to buy? Apple shares, gold bars, or Bitcoin? Bitcoin clearly won. No one wanted gold bars. I don't know why, but hey, people realize that they can't move gold bars around. You can keep Bitcoin in your mind. You could run from a civilization, and as long as you memorize that seed code, you're all set, right? Yeah. So stay tuned for more, guys. I think we went over a lot of news. We talked about a lot of different things. Let's just Google Iran. I mean, people are already calling it a war, right? Trump tweeted that he didn't need to consult with Congress about an act of war. He does, but if he did, his tweet sufficed. Pelosi's response is measured and appropriate, and GOP must join unless they want to cede all congressional power to the presidency. Why hasn't this tough guy who loves to fire a gun volunteered to fight in his daddy's war with Iran? I think that Donald Trump Jr. would want to be one of the first to enlist. Yeah, there's going to be all that nonsense, too. He said a lot, though, that he would just basically crush Iran if they did anything. This is interesting. Last month, Iran was protesting their government. Now millions are united against the United States. Huh. Oh, it's a lot of just hate. I was just trying to see what Iran was saying and what Iran was doing. See if we could get some actual news here, but I don't think we will. What about the repo markets? This could also be so people won't talk about what's going on right now. Let's just do one deep dive into the repo market. That's something I like to talk about every day. Fed focuses on the repo market exit strategy after avoiding year-end crunch. Wall Street's worst fears of a year-end funding squeeze never materialized, thanks in large part to the $250 billion the Federal Reserve stuffed into the market to ensure nothing became gummed up. The question now, though, is what will it take for the U.S. Central Bank to withdraw from its daily liquidity operations and the $2.2 trillion market for repurchase agreements, or repos. Those are what repurchase agreements or repos. After it began a dominant player in the short term 3 months. The repo operations are a band-aid, but the wound isn't healed fully, says Gernady Goldberg, an interest rate strategist at TD Securities. The New York Fed began injecting billions of dollars of liquidity into the repo market in mid-September. What a confluence of events sent the cost of overnight loans as high as 10%, more than 4 times the Fed's rate at the time. A month later, the Fed moved to expand its balance sheet and boost the levels of reserves by snapping up $60 billion a month in U.S. Treasury bills. The Fed will continue pumping tens of billions a day into the repo market through at least the end of January. Its ability to exit from the repo market after that time will depend on how long it takes the central bank to make the balance sheet large enough so that there are adequate reserves in the banking system and the repo operations are no longer needed. It seems implausible to me that the Fed will be able to stop their repo operations by the end of January, said Mark Cabana, head of the U.S. rate strategy at Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. Minutes from the Fed's December policy meeting released on Friday show its staffers expected repo operations to be gradually reduced after mid-January. However, staff members also said the central bank may need to continue offering some repo operations until at least April, when tax payments could reduce the level of reserves. Another challenge for federal officials deciding just how big the central bank's balance sheet, which is currently about $4 trillion, should be. There are people at the Fed who have been preference for the smallest possible balance sheet, and we just don't know how much their views have evolved. Fed policymakers have said that they will continue purchasing Treasury bills in the second quarter of 2020, with the goal of bringing reserves back above the level seen in mid-September, when they fell below $1.5 trillion. Bringing reserves to $1.7 trillion would provide a cushion for about $200 billion to absorb shocks during periods of tight liquidity, says Joseph Abate, a short-rate strategist for Barclays. Holding up to $2 trillion in reserves could offer a big cushion and reduce the likelihood of a volatility in short-term borrowing markets, depending on what the demand is for reserves, he said. Some financial firms are urging the Fed to stay involved permanently through a standing repo facility, which would allow firms to trade Treasury holdings for cash. But Fed officials are still working on the details and plan to keep discussing the issue at future meetings, the minutes from Friday showed. Richmond Fed President Thomas Barkin said on Friday that in addition to a standing repo facility, a long-term fix for providing more liquidity in money markets could include adjusting liquidity regulations and setting restrictions on other programs that can affect reserves, such as foreign repo pool. All those are legitimate long-term conversations to have now that we're through the short-term, Barr told reporters. In the meantime, Fed officials could make changes to the repo offerings to help wean markets off the temporary support. Officials could reduce the frequency or size of the repo offerings after January and bring them back during times of expected stress, Abate said. One issue is that the Fed is allowing dealers to borrow cash at a cheaper rate than it is available for other market participants, which discourages firms from borrowing in the private market they used before the Fed began to intervene. Yeah, because why would they go get money and have to pay more? So that could also create a lack of borrowing in the other side of the market, right? Figuring out the right structure could take some time. What they want to do is incentivize the market to go to fellow market participants first and the Fed second. I don't think we're there yet. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But I just wanted to get into that, talk about that. I don't know what that is. Fed performs overnight repo operations. The jump is interesting, but what's really notable is that 13 billion accepted in mortgage-backed securities as opposed to treasuries. Who is this guy? Brad Huston. See, this is how you find out people that know what's going on. Devon, NYCF accepts 76 billion of the 76 in bids on the repo. Big jump from 51 billion on Friday. So they just jumped 20 billion. I've been placing catch up since taking time off over the holidays, and too much time has passed without me saying a very big thanks to Aubrey for the Christmas gift. So thought this would be out the repo, man. Repo operation largest since December 5th at 78 billion. New York Fed website. Definitely going to watch out about this, guys. It's something you want to be staying in tune with, because it's going to affect crypto trading. It's going to affect the price of gold, and you know, it has everything to do with anything and everything. 1564 though, that's amazing. We were at like 1511 just a couple days ago. So when you see gold doing stuff like that, you go to lifer 2. I flipped to gold. 1564 on the 5-minute chart. So we had a huge sell-off earlier today, obviously from 1573 all the way to 1560, but we've since recovered to a new high. Higher low. This is also a movement here on the RSI. I think we could see gold going up more. I'm aiming for 1600. Just trying to see what I see in a pattern here. The 4 hour, we're just like, I mean, that needs a correction of some type. Maybe we go up and down here. So this is what I'm seeing now. Let's do something like this. Let's bull flag, right? Let's come down. Let's come up. Let's come down. Let's come up. Let's come down, and then let's shoot back up. I'm just speculating, guys, you know, on a flag bull here, something that may or may not occur. Boom, right? Putting us here at 1612, possibly by, I don't know, you know, the second week of January 15th, 13th, something in that range. So, all right, guys, that's it for the day. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You can find out when I post my next video. And remember,